Hi, this is Miles, and if you're searching for survival tricks in the woods, then you've come to the right place. On my channel, I'm always releasing videos on survival skills, so consider subscribing. Also, at any time during this video, you can click on the link below and get my free video series on survival skills. So when you're talking about, survival tricks and the ones that you can do out in the woods, there are many survival tricks, but there are a few that I'd like to talk about today that I think you'll find really interesting. Anyway, the first one I wanted to talk about was how to keep your backpack dry. Let's say you're going out into a place and you don't know whether it's going to rain that day or not, and it's kind of clear, but it's in an area where the weather tends to change quickly and it might rain a little bit or get foggy. What you want to do is, before you pack your day pack or your backpack, depending on whether you're staying overnight or not, line it with plastic. That way when you put everything in, you can tie it off, and if it just happens to rain that day, or if it happens to rain that night or anything, everything in your day pack or your backpack will stay dry. And that's a really easy trick that you can use right away. Also, if you're going to be going overnight, or if you're going to be going to a campground where you're going to have to light a fire, and you didn't line your day pack or your backpack with plastic, that means sometimes things can get wet. What you want to do is, in your matches, where you keep your matches in the case, what you want to do is just glue a little piece of sandpaper, and make sure it's not heavy grit sandpaper, make sure it's light grit sandpaper. And what you can use that for is you can use it to light your matches. And it's really easy to do. Make sure you don't use heavy grit sandpaper, because it'll just ruin the matches. It won't strike them. It'll just ruin them. So get really fine grit sandpaper, and you can just glue a little piece right there, where you store your dry matches, and it can be used to strike your matches at any time. Also, there's another trick that I wanted to tell you about, and it has to do with the good way to dry clothes if you have to hang things up, or even your pots and pans after you get done cooking at night. And what you want to do is just take your belt and tie it around a tree, and you can just hang hooks off of it. And what you do is you just hang your pans on the hooks, or you hang your clothes on the hooks to dry. And that's a nice simple way to hang your stuff up without having to bring extra things with you, and that way you can just travel lighter that way, and just use the things that are actually on you to make this happen. Another one that I talked about, and I've talked about it in another video, but I would like to tell you about it today too, is if you take the little bread tags that on the bread, the little tags that close the bread, they're really flat and they're really light, so you can pack a bunch in your bag. And what you can actually use them for is clothespins. So if you were to put your belt around the tree and tie it, and you needed to hang your clothes up, you would just use the bread tags as clothespins. And that's a nice way to hang your stuff up without having to carry anything that's too heavy. You know what I mean? Because when you're backpacking, when you're traveling, 5 or 10 miles a day, traveling a bit lighter, like it might not seem like a lot of weight, but every little bit of weight adds up. And as you get fatigued, the less weight that you have to carry, the more fun you're going to have on your camping trip. And the last thing I'd like to talk about today is when you're lighting a fire. Let's say you go to a place where first place, you don't know whether it's going to rain or not. So you line your day pack with plastic so everything stays dry. So you go and you're hiking for the day, and it rains. And then that night, you're going to set up camp. So you set up your tent and everything, and you're setting up your camp, and you want to light a fire, but you can't find any dry kindling and stuff. Did you know that corn chips or Doritos is a great substitute for kindling, and actually lights really easy? And that is just one of those things I found absolutely fascinating, because everybody brings at least a little bit of food, and sometimes bring chips and stuff. Well, corn chips are great kindling, as well as really yummy. Anyway, those are just some few things that I wanted to talk to you about today. Some of the tricks that I found fascinating. Anyway, if you want to leave comments at the bottom, please do so. And if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. And also consider subscribing. And remember that you can click on the link below and get my free video series on survival skills. It's up to you, no pressure. Just this is Miles, and have a good day.